Hello, this is Mathias Nygård from Turisas and you're watching Metal From Finland. Well, it's our third time playing Tuska. First time here, obviously, and I think this summer we've kind of been focusing on just doing what we do best and going on stage and playing songs rather than trying to bring in a lot of extra elements. So it's a 6-piece band, playing old material, new material, from all albums, and that's about it. We're not gonna have any sort of videos or lasers or flying teddy bears or elephants or anything happening. So it's gonna be very straightforward.
How do you like the new festival area actually compared to the old one?
I actually just arrived, so I haven't had a chance to walk around that much, but of course, there was this certain intimacy, with having it in Kaisaniemi in the small park and having it really packed all the time. So, maybe it feels a bit more that you lose something on the atmosphere, maybe because it's a bigger area. But of course, it's understandable. I think, to be honest, it's important to have both because it brings, by the time you tour all spring, all year, and you get into the festival season, like especially now for us, this summer has been really, really fun because we did an American tour and a European tour back to back in spring, which was like 3 months on the road in one go, and then coming home in May. So this is of course nice that you play shows in the weekend, fly around a bit, and then get home or go on holiday in the week or do whatever you want. And yeah, the shows are shorter and maybe more kind of of course, if you only play 30 minutes or 45 minutes, the set list, you don't have that much choice. You just play a kind of more basic set than maybe on headline shows in club environments, but I think it's great that by autumn again you get kind of tired of all the traveling and everything, included with festivals, and then getting back to playing your own headline shows for your own fans is great again. So it's kind of like seasons, really. You get bored about anything like if you do it too long. So.
And in festivals, since obviously everyone is not just there for one band,
yeah,
you have a chance to get new fans.
Absolutely, and we've been playing this summer. We also played a lot of more like mainstream rock festivals, not only metal festivals even, but like Download in the UK, which has everything from punk to anything, and Nova Rock in Austria, similar, or even Sonisphere. We did the Swiss Sonisphere this year with a lot of various bands. So that's great for us to get out and play to crowds who are maybe there to see Bullet for My Valentine or whatever. So. It does. I mean, the plan was when starting writing for the Varangian Way, like back in 2005 or 6 or something, there was this idea of a bigger storyline, and then that kind of realizing that you couldn't squeeze everything into one album, but you had to sort of focus on something. So that became the album about the journey, and the idea was all along to kind of continue on that in some form at some point. But we didn't really want to make a direct sequel as such to the Varangian Way, because that would kind of be repeating the same formula a bit too much. So it ended up being this kind of loose continuation where some of the sort of storylines flow over, but it's not as structured in the same way as the Varangian Way was. When it comes to the title of the album, it was kind of a choice whether you want to have something straightforward as our debut battle metal was, or having something more maybe more interesting in a way like the Varangian Way. But we also wanted to have like a title track that stands for all the songs, and there wasn't really any title of any song that could have really, you can't name the album The Great Escape because it doesn't make sense for the album as a whole. So Stand Up and Fight, it deals with themes of courage and sticking up to your beliefs quite a bit. So it had this sort of Manovarian clang to it, which we totally understand, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek in that way, but very sort of basic heavy metal tribute in that way. But yeah. Well, hopefully, year by year, getting your band one slot up the festival bills and building it, steadily and slowly as we've done so far. And we've been happy to be able to play tours, play festival shows, and not only within like the metal community, but a bit, as we spoke, like outside of that, playing like more mainstream rock festivals as well, and kind of crossing over to all sorts of territories. So we toured with black metal bands, but we toured with something like the German Die Apokalyptischen Reiter, which is like some sort of German fun band in a way. So I think it's we have a very mixed audience, and that's cool for us, because it gets a bit boring playing only festivals with Viking horns and that, drinking mead all the time. So there's a lot of them. I think we've only done like our first Asian shows like a year or two back, like Japan and something in China, Australia as well. There's a lot of course, opportunities going to Southeast Asia, like I don't know, Korea, Taiwan, whatever. But it's a bit difficult because it's not that straightforward as setting up a show in Germany. South America is still something we've been sort of trying to set up for years, but it's a bit sketchy at times. So sometimes you almost have the confirmation that like tomorrow we'll ink the deal and then it's done, and then it gets cancelled again or something. Like we've had this situation where everyone goes and gets all the vaccinations and then the tour never happens. So that's still something to come for us. We've never been there, and of course, like we've done tours in North America, but it's such a huge territory that right now, actually, because the market got so hard and everyone was hitting the US at the same time and everything, so now we kind of took a bit of a time out actually on America with this album. We did one tour there, but we didn't really push for it, and I think that sort of we'll have to see in the future. Maybe you can't really go and do something half-arsed there, like every now and then. You need to decide that you're going to do like 3-4 tours a year in the US if you want to get there, because
in their face
all the time, because there's no media in the same way as in Europe. So the only way you can really move forward is by playing shows all the time. So well, I think it's very sort of human to try to sort of find a box for everything, to make some sense in the world, and maybe record shelves or stuff. So of course it's important in that way, and it's very hard to get into a band or understand something if you don't have a reference what it maybe sounds like. If someone wants to recommend you a band or something, you want to know what it's like, and then you definitely have to have something to tell them. But as a musician, I think it's actually, if you start thinking that you are, I don't know, death metal band, then obviously you play death metal, and that's all you do. So I think for ourselves, we always try to avoid to build too big barriers around us to be able to move around, and we just make music that feels interesting to ourselves at that time. So that leaves it open that maybe in 5 years from now we'll be playing a different style of music, and that's fine by us. It's if we decide too closely that this is what we are, then you know. But of course, you need to have that focus. It's also hard if you have in any kind, you know, if you run a business or a company or anything, you know, it's if you don't decide what your core product is, it's going to be very, very difficult to get anywhere. I think the sad thing about, say, folk metal or pagan metal or Viking metal, whatever you want to call it, there's so many bands there who are actually like, who do get a fair amount of attention and you know, maybe not really on the top, but still, and who, in all honesty, are very boring and just repeating old cliches and not really trying to create anything new. And I think if you look at any style of music or anything really, you know, it's always the people who actually are able to come with something new that kind of get to the top of it. So I think like all the bands from Finland, for instance, who are successful outside Finland, and people always ask why there's so many bands from Finland that are so successful. I think all these bands, if you look at them, you'll notice that they have something unique about them. It's not, they don't sound like anything else, and after them there's a lot of bands who then, you know, grow up with those bands and try to sound the same, and it's totally okay to take influences, and that's what we did as well. But you know, we had everything from something like Balsagoth to Bathory or something, and then it became this sort of mishmash of those elements in a way. And now it's like even broader. We might take something in from very, very different kinds of music and blend that into our own sound. Well, I think, you know, of course, every musician would probably dream to play stadiums at some point, you know, even if it's not really realistic in that way. But, you know, I don't know, you know, going and playing stadium shows as a support band would maybe be actually not very nice, because you'd kind of not, of course, have the same production as U2 or Muse or someone. So, but I don't know. I think it would be fun to actually play some shows with Twisted Sister. Could be pretty cool, because it's a band that has a sense of humor, a bit of tongue-in-cheek without being a joke, and has sort of stick through the years. It's I'm not like their biggest fan or anything, but it's a band that, especially in like the latest years, I've learned to appreciate and kind of look up to a bit, because of how they sort of do they are very, very good entertainers, and managed to see a show with them in the UK a couple of years back, and you know, it's yeah, absolutely. They should go and turn up to the shows. We try to tour as much as we can, but to answer the question, we can't be in only one place at one time, so it will take time. But yes, we are coming to Chile, and we are coming to Australia, and we are coming to Canada at some point sooner or later. So when we do turn up. Cheers.